Welcome to Sports Wrap Daily, everybody. This is going to be a fun show here. We're going to be talking a lot of football because our guests here today both are former NFL guys. Okay, let's introduce them. We'll go to the far side here. Mark McMillian, Mighty Mouse in the house, is here. And the Missile is in the house. Qadry Ismail, nice to have you here. Oh, you're going Syracuse Orange today, aren't you?
Syracuse Orange.
You got it.
See that. when you're here in Vegas, and obviously you got the Raiders, and sitting here watching my son play on the Raiders, and I just said to myself, if you bust out your Ravens gear, people might have flashback to 2000 when they were up in Oakland when we whooped them. Oh, did I say that out loud? I did say that out loud.
Oh, he's starting to show off hot. He's starting to show
coming in hot.
He coming in hot.
And the Ravens, by the way, I believe that was a team that won, if I'm not mistaken, won a Super Bowl. It was a Super Bowl.
That's right. That's right. Super Bowl 35.
35.
Super Bowl 35 down in Tampa. Raymond James staying against the Giants. Giants fans, they love to talk about, oh, my God, you guys beat us. Oh, wow. I'm like, bro, y'all already had championships. Our championship was just destined, and y'all were in the way. We whooped them 34-7. But, see, this is the thing.
Yes.
Michael Strahan and company realized how bad the defeat was, and because of that, it springboarded them into whooping up on Tom Brady twice.
Oh, good point. You then inspired them to go.
Inspirational.
You took out the Patriots. I hadn't put that connection together until now.
I'm
Mark?
just saying.
Well, you kicked it off with the orange shirt. You went with the Missile, so you kind of just let it flow, and he just took it from there.
We're rolling tide, of course, with Mark here, and Alabama played, of course, in the NFL with the Chiefs and the Eagles, and I believe
they won a big game.
Did they have they won some stuff recently?
They've won some stuff,
Maybe.
and it's been a lot of social media junk thrown at my guy Jalen Hurts. That I just really need to express that. Like, all these people talking about how good he is. He's not a top 10 quarterback. He's won at high school. He's won at Alabama. He's even won at Oklahoma. And he's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. And he's been twice. And all these quarterbacks that they're putting in front of him hasn't won one, besides Patrick Mahomes. But, man, I just want to get that off. I have to get off my chest, man. I have to defend my guy.
Good point. But what's it going to take for him to get the respect that he deserves? I mean, how many Super Bowls does he have to
Well,
pile
first
up?
of all, he plays for the Eagles. And you already know no one likes the Eagles. I don't care how you slice it. No one likes Philly sports, whether it's baseball, hockey, tennis. Shoot, what's the new game right now they're playing? Pickleball.
There it is.
Nobody, I don't know what they want Jalen to do. And everybody's like, well, if you put any quarterback in that system, well, okay. You build a team that you can be successful for. And obviously, when you guys won a Super Bowl, you have to have a good system put in place. And that's like somebody saying, like, well, if you didn't have the Missile on the team, well, they do have the Missile on the team.
Here's the interesting thing about the Philadelphia conundrum, because I think what Nick Sirianni as a coach realized, what's my talent, what's my strength of my team, and then at the same time, how do I foster that, grow it, and cultivate it so it can be a championship-minded team. I think it starts with your quarterback. Clearly, Jalen, his mindset coming from winning coaches, when you talk about a Nick Saban, for example, I think his desire, his hunger, his focus has always remained. It was easy for Nick to then, therefore, go over to the defensive side of the football and make sure that they're in line.
Yep.
It was easy for him to make sure he can micromanage other positions and not worry about your quarterback position. You know you're going to get consistency from the quarterback spot. Jalen is absolutely he needs to be in the top 5 discussion of today's quarterback. Of course, Patrick Mahomes with his resume, people talk about him being first. From Baltimore, my God, man, the AFC North.
You guys got a good one down there.
Oh, well, we battle back and forth between, is it, Joe Burrow or you go up to Buffalo and you're
Josh
sitting
Allen.
there and Josh Allen. And I think the main thing that from a top 5 aspect of a thing, when it comes down to winning, when it comes down to head-to-head, and you talked about him, Jalen Hurts facing Patrick Mahomes twice in the big show. Yeah. He's gone through the gauntlet of the NFC. He absolutely deserves to be in that list, in the top 5.
There you hear it.
There you have it. Okay.
You had it right there.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to, with the LA Rams, I got to throw some Matt Stafford in there just for fun. And I believe it is week 5 that the Rams and the Eagles play this year. So that might be interesting.
We might need to take a drive on down there down to LA, man.
Rematch of the NFC Championship game. So we'll see if the Rams can figure out how to stop that as a Saquon Barkley guy.
Yeah,
will help.
he's pretty special.
But let's talk some Raiders now. Okay, we got video of the Raiders practice, just generic video from the first training camp yesterday for the Raiders here. What do you guys think? Qadry, we'll start with you. You've got a son out there that's 6'6" wide receiver. How do deep defensive backs? Mark, we'll ask you in a moment. But stop this guy. But a 6'6" wide receiver, played with Baltimore last year, and now free agent with the Raiders.
So technically, his transition over to tight end. He started off his first first few weeks as a receiver in Baltimore last year, but they moved him over to tight end. He's done an exceptional job, I think, not just from a dad, and I can hype it all up, but no, just my football eye. I think he's definitely earned the right to have me say, yes, he's done a great job when it came to transitioning to tight end. With that said, here, the Raiders, I think it's a great opportunity and a great fit for him. I just love the energy of the staff. I think, Pete Carroll and what he brings as a Super Bowl winning coach, a coach who has sustained winning in Seattle and now brings that same mindset here to Las Vegas. I think for the Raiders, trying to reestablish that identity as one of the blue bloods in professional sports. I think for him to come here and be the head coach, I think it's a great thing. But my son, he's very excited to take place and be a part of the team.
Okay, Mark. Final for this segment. How do you stop a 6'6" wide
that
receiver?
question came up today. When he was walking off the field, and I looked at him, I was like, and I kind of got in my DV stance and made myself even smaller. And I was like, I don't really know how I will fare against a guy that big, because I don't think I've faced a receiver probably that size with that girth on him. Probably the biggest guy was probably Michael Irvin or Jake Reed down in Minnesota was really physical. But your son is. I don't know. I don't know how we guard him.
Get some help over the top.
Yeah.
Safety.
I don't know. But that's got to be a really cool feeling. Obviously, playing against each other in the league, and now your son is following in your footsteps. Obviously, he wanted to make his own path to playing in the National Football League. What kind of feeling is that as a dad? Take off the coaching hat and just as a dad.
I tell you what, I mean, it's nerve-wracking in a sense, because we all know the evaluation process. And I think for where he was collegiately, some of the things that he had to overcome to get to this point. So as a dad, you're on pins and needles, but you see the poise in which he plays, the way in which he prepares. It just gives me a lot of confidence and just comfort level to now watch. In other words, okay, cool, this is this portion of the practice. I see what you're doing. Great. I'm sitting back and I'm watching it and enjoying the process of it. And then I love the fact that, he loves me to be his sounding board and to have that father-son relationship, because I do know I've been there, done that. I'm around greats like yourself and gives me a chance to really just to mix it up with him. I think it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a break. For a second. We'll be right back. Talk more Raider football later. We want to talk about Rebel football, too, and get your thoughts on college football. And in particular, UNLV. I went out to practice today. So with Mark McMillian, Qadry Ismail, I'm Ron Futrell. Take a quick break. Sports Wrap Daily will return right after this. Here we go. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here. Sports Wrap Daily. Yes, well, we do it daily, at least 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, you can check it all out here. We have with us Mighty Mouse and the Missile here. A couple of former NFL players, Mark McMillian, Qadry Ismail, and I'm Ron Futrell. Here we go, guys. Let's talk about the Raiders and your thoughts on them overall this year. Sportsbooks have them at 6.5 total of wins. Can Pete Carroll, Geno Smith beat that and perhaps even surprise some people go to the playoffs? We'll start with you.
I think just from my football eye and watching the limited amount of practices I've seen, I think the attitude of the team is definitely shifted and changed. I know that matters, and I think from a 6.5 aspect of things, I would say they're going to surprise a lot of people. I know Geno Smith and Chip Kelly as his coordinator. It's about just getting it out to all his guys. I mean, he has some really good tight ends, got a strong receiver, and we'll see how the receivers work themselves out. But you got a run game as well. I think their offensive line is a work in progress, but it's there. And with that said, you got Pete Carroll, and I think the motivational factor there to me, in my mind, I think they can get 7-8 wins this year and look very competitive throughout the season.
I've been saying 7-8 wins the last couple of years we've been covering the team, but it was just so much turmoil inside the building, and you got to start from the top. They finally got it right. They finally got it right with the GM, and obviously bringing over Pete Carroll with the lineage in the background. He's won everywhere he's been. In college, in the pros, he's won a Super Bowl. And as a player, you buy into that. So you can't come in with the egos like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's a younger guy. They were kind of like they were able to run over, Josh, and then AP came in with a lot of energy, and people just didn't really buy into it once they started losing. Now they're going to go through some phases in the game, and people are going to be like, oh, my God, same old Raiders. But you have a coach that's been there, done that. And as a player, you're like, man, this guy's been there, done it at a higher level. I'm going to buy into what he's saying, and we're going to go out here and we're going to win for our coach, and we're going to win for the guys that's next to us as well.
His press conference yesterday, it was interesting because he said when, and people were asking him for predictions, sort of the same question I asked you guys here. And his answer was, I won 10 games a season. Where Ben, I expect that's my standard right there that I expect. And that makes a difference. And I like that guys like Max Crosby are buying in, saying, I love his energy here, and that he comes. He's 74 years old, but I love the energy he brings here into the building. That makes a difference, doesn't it, with coaches? You guys played for a lot of different coaches. Yeah. You could tell one coach another right off the bat. You had a pretty good feel, did you?
The authenticity and authentic nature of Pete Carroll is what I think means when Max Crosby says, I like his energy. It's not something that's false. It's not something that's full of hype, but it's genuine. You see other guys that are veteran players on past winning programs under Pete Carroll talk about just his love affair with the game, the competitive nature, and he genuinely cares about you. I think if you have a coach that can care about you and show that, this is the quarterback position. I know that, yes, he's going to put me in a great position to do what I need to do, and Pete's got my back. If you're, on the defensive side of the football, the secondary, Pete's going to be ever present and watching and making sure that you're on point and you're doing your assignment, but he's going to be quick to build you up. The always compete sign that now hangs over the entrance to the players' locker room, in my mind, I think that's really what Pete Carroll's all about, competing and having fun, and I think the guys are buying into it.
I believe it 100%. It's a mindset. I say, it's a mindset. And you talk about some of the coaches and playing in Philly, under Bud Carson, who orchestrated the steel curtain. Bud Carson, who we orchestrated one of the best defenses. There's the Ravens and there's the Bears, but our stats kind of compare to those defenses. And you just walk into the building and you're going to knock the snot out of some people, and you're going to win games. And like I said, Pete's still out there throwing 9 routes. He's out there in
he's
gloves.
Throwing it. He's
like, as a player, you got to be like, man, this
go deep. Boom, go deep, and he'll reach you. For what? Okay, we got a short segment, more Raiders talk, and then final segment we'll have Rebels talk in just a little bit. Stick around. All right, welcome back, everybody, with the Missile and Mighty Mouse. I'm Ron Futrell. We are here talking some Raider football. We got some more stuff from the Raiders going on. Okay, we talked a lot about the offense with the Raiders, and I do want to touch on the defense here a little bit because you mentioned the great defenses of the past. That Baltimore Ravens team, Qadry Ismail had a pretty darn good defense back then.
Historic.
No, not bad.
Number one of all time.
It's been 40 years for that Bears defense, and you mentioned the Eagles, Mark McMillian, and their great defense that they had. Raiders defense concerns me a little bit, okay? And I'm mainly the linebacker position. Robert Spillane going to New England. They're losing a lot of tackles there. He led the team in tackles last year. I don't know that they got the guns to replace it. You've still got Max Crosby. Christian Wilkins comes out. He's got an injury. He's going to start the season, going to miss at least the first 4 games. So, Mark, on the defensive side, what do you see with this Raiders team? Bet the over?
Yeah, man. It's tough. Patrick Graham has his work cut out for himself. Obviously, getting Malcolm Kuntz back is going to be huge for this team. Obviously, he went down late in the season, and you see the linebacker play struggled. But, if you can get Christian Wilkinson playing at a level that he played at Miami, I saw him doing a dancing video that's circulating on social media, so everybody's got excited about that. So he's at least moving around and he's out of the boot.
Okay.
Yeah, he's at
Good.
least moving around. He's out of the boot. And, Max Crosby's like our guy we talk about every week. He's going to bring it. They're loaded up on the secondary. So I'm excited to see how these young guys perform in the secondary. Isaiah Palomalo had a really good day today, intercepting a couple of passes. So the defensive secondary – it's a lot of competition. And, they bring in Adams, who was a Pete Carroll guy from Seattle. He's more like a box safety guy. I know a lot of people say he can't cover, but all he does is make tackles. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's an NFL, player of the week, player of the year. So he's got some really good things that he can do inside the box, and I'm looking forward to seeing his experience pay dividends. And he can play that linebacker-type honey badger position for the Raiders. And hopefully, they can stop some people, because we know later on in the season they were challenging the corners, and you lose Nate Hobbs last year. He's out of here to Green Bay. And Meek Robbins the year before that, he's in Detroit. So they've been losing some key guys that's been really good in that secondary. So Darnay Holmes is a guy that's got a lot of experience. We're looking for him to step up. And, Sam Webb, they signed him in the offseason, so hopefully he can kind of crack into that lineup. You still got Jacorian Bennett, who was their top pick coming out 2 years ago. So the secondary, they got a lot of holes out there, but they got some guys that can fill it.
Let's show some video from practice just recently, yesterday, that we got from the Raiders practice. Again, they're basically generic video, so you see what's going on. Your thought, Qadry, on where this team defensively fits in this year?
The one thing you know is that a Pete Carroll defense, Legion of Boom, comes to mind. It's about being fast to the ball. I think the one thing that you noticed out at practice, that the practices that I've been to, is that they fly to the football. I think that's one thing that was lacking as far as even last year and previous years, just the energy with one another. You see a lot on the sideline. Mark touched upon the different interceptions. We were right there in today's practice, and just watching how just aggressive they were trying to, get the ball out of the receiver or whomever, the pass catcher's hands. And I think the getting to the football as a team, the attacking nature, the desire to create turnovers, it's really something that you look for in top-rated defenses. You could be a good, strong offense. Obviously, the league is geared towards offense. But if you don't have it on defense, and if you can't create turnovers and possess the ball that way, that's where you have trouble. And I think for Pete Carroll, he spent a lot of time over on the defensive side of the ball, making sure guys are where they need to be, but just the positive hype, not this fake bravado, but the positive hype of what he wanted to see out there from his defense.
Good point on the turnovers. This team
we
was
talk
last,
about it all the time.
last in the league in turnover ratio. They went 10 games. It might have been 12 without getting a turnover. Not giving up the ball. They gave up plenty of turnovers, but without getting a turnover. And you're not going to win. You're just not going to win in the NFL with that turnover ratio.
Well, that's the main thing, I think, for him talking about it this offseason and making it an emphasis. And they actually tracked how many times guys went for the ball. I think it was over 2,000 or 3,000 times that you saw a defender really grabbing at the football and trying to punch it out. I think it is a habit. It's something that you put into your psyche. Again, running to the football. More good things happen than bad when you run to the football as a defender. And so the more hats you have around the football, the better things can happen. I think that's something that is preached constantly in a Pete Carroll practice.
Yeah, turnovers. Mark, you and I, come on, we've had this discussion.
That is my
times.
pet peeve, man. And I'm thinking like, wow, these guys are, as a defensive back, you play 17 games and you got 2 interceptions.
What?
And in a league where they're throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, you can't get at least 5
and it comes from
to
your
6.
defensive end?
Yeah. And you can't get, obviously, they got some ball hawks out there. They went into the draft, and he's got some guys with length now. You can see the kind of the depth in the secondary changing from more to the stocky, faster cornerbacks. Now you get the young guy out of Iowa State who's probably like 6'4". He fits that Richard Sherman type body. So like you said back in Seattle, he's drafting defensive guys that fits that Legion of Boom kind of mindset. And, Adams was in Seattle. He was part of that that wrecking crew that, gets downhill. And you got to have guys that can get downhill in this division. And, Patrick Mahomes, and you got the Chargers who's doing really well. And then, obviously, the Denver Broncos. They got their franchise quarterback. So it's a very competitive division, and if you can't stop the run or the pass, man, it's going to be a long season.
Take the over. I'm going there already, early on, saying that. We'll see what happens, see where it goes. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, guys, I want to talk some college football. Let's do that with Syracuse and Alabama in the house. More Sports Wrap Daily after this. All right, Carlos behind the board there, keeping us all in line here, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. We talked Raider football. Now it's time to talk Rebel football. I was out of practice today. Enjoyed that. But let's talk Mark McMillian with us, defensive back out of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. And then we got the Orangeman representative, Syracuse, here with Qadry Ismail. We'll go with you first, Mark, here. What do you think with this Rebel football team? Dan Mullen, here's some of the practice video from today. First year with the Rebels, a guy that's from Mississippi State, then Florida, did TV broadcasting for a couple of years, and now he's with the Rebels.
You know what I'm saying? The last couple of years, watching the program, they've been winning 10 games the last 2 years. Putting some guys in the NFL now. A lot of scouts. They had all 32 teams here this year during the combine, and what they're able to build on. And you bring in a Dan Mullen with his energy, with his offensive mindset, and he's coached at the high level at Florida and at Mississippi State. So I'm looking for the program to continue to rise and play the big dogs. They got UCLA coming here, so that's a Big Ten opponent. So if you get that win under your belt, and then that just kind of catapult those guys, through the season. And I always say now the benchmark, if they beat Boise State, this might be the easiest road to the playoff picture. Because if you beat Boise State, you're in. You obviously you got to beat them in the conference game, but I don't see a San Jose State or Air Force or Wyoming or Hawaii knocking these guys off. So the easy road right now in the Mountain West is through Boise State, but everybody knows that is a high benchmark.
But you can't have any slip-ups, too. You got to have a clean season pretty much.
Right.
Last year, Syracuse came here.
Yes.
Beat the Rebels barely. I mean, it was close.
Barely.
It wasn't. They didn't blow them. No, listen. I've gone through 20 seasons of Rebel football. 2-9, 2-9, 2-9, 2-9. Well, how are they going to do this year? They get 2 wins. 2-9. Okay, my first year was Randall Cunningham's last year, so they went 12-2 that year and won the California Bowl. So they did have some great. You've heard of both of you guys.
I played
Randall Cunningham
with Randall.
Just Randall. Yeah.
Touchdowns.
Heard of him just a little bit. So it's so what do you think? UNLV football. I don't know how much you've looked or paid attention to UNLV
Haven't
football this year.
played or looked at any UNLV football, but I will say I do know the name Dan Mullen. I think that in the college game, it's about the transfer portal. It's about the energy that you feel as a young person that you're going to go to that school, and that coach is going to get you caught up in the hype of like, yes, I'm going to play well. This offense, this defense is going to fit me. I think the fact that he is in the Mountain West and he's going to bring a more of a high-powered offense to continue to grow upon, it's a good fit. But, yeah, you do have to look at the broader picture of college football, which is, are they going to expand the college football playoff? And if they do expand it, is it going to be this conference or is it going to be extra teams from the SEC or the Big Ten? I think that's where the debate kind of rages.
Where are you at, Mark? And what do you think with the college football in the playoff? Yeah, good question here.
It's a different ball game now. Obviously, NIL is played a huge part, and the big donors are going to be the guys that's going to be at the end of the season every year. Texas, some school out of Texas is always going to be in the mix because they got the most money and they can pay some of the best players. But like I said, from a Mountain West standpoint, if you can get the city of Las Vegas behind these guys with all the money that we can generate with these casinos and restaurants and businesses, I think if you can get a guy like Dan Mullen, on the right path, which he is, I believe, the sky's the limit for this UNLV program. And like I said, the last 2 years, they've been playing outstanding football. And now you see they're getting 4-star and 5-star guys traveling in from Michigan, from Virginia at the quarterback position. So they got some guys that they can rely on. And like I said, man, us here covering the team for the last couple of years, I'm excited for the program. And those guys know, man, I just love college football. And, I obviously NFL, but something about college football and these young men and being able to pour into them is just a different ball game.
No, good point. There is a feel. I'm looking forward to seeing. Now the season begins early with Idaho State here.
Yeah, they should beat the brakes off of them.
August 23rd. They should. That shouldn't be an issue. Shouldn't be a problem. Okay. There was a year UNLV lost 49-point favorites to Howard, and they lost outright. So. Don't take
that won't
for
happen.
granted.
That
was 10 years ago, maybe 15. Then UCLA coming here.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that. Seeing the Bruins, being from Southern California, the Bruins.
That'd be a good test.
My team
Deshaun Foster is the head coach.
Yes.
He's a California guy. I know him very well.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously he was going to be one of the running back coaches here with the Raiders doing that transition. But then, obviously, that didn't work out. He's back at UCLA. Demetric Martin, he's the defensive back coach for Oregon. He's a Pasadena guy, California guy. I know a lot of the kids on the team. Like I said, being from Cali, you're seeing a UCLA team come in down the road and playing against UNLV. Like I said, UNLV knocked these guys. I wouldn't say it's a knockoff because they've built enough confidence. They built enough 10-win seasons. They won more games than UCLA. The last couple of years. And, it'll be interesting to see, UCLA start school later. So the students are not really on campus yet. So see how many UCLA fans come on down there. So Rebel Nation, come out and support this team. Come on, let's go.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're out of time. Appreciate you both being here. Qadry Ismail, the missile in the house.
Missile. And I'm pulling for your son, man. I'm really pulling for your son.
Number 84, let it go.
84, keep an eye on it. And now tight end.
Yes.
And there's some tight ends on this team.
Oh, yeah, some good ones.
There's some real good ones. But I think it's going to be a tight end dominated offense. Pete Carroll likes to run the ball, move the ball, power it down the field. You get a blocking tight end, a good passing tight end, and you're there. Or two of them, or three of them. You might need on this team. Multiple. And then, of course, Mark McMillian, our favorite. You'll be back again this year for Sports Wrap after Raiders games, and then Raiders pregame live.
Yeah, man, the check's cleared, so I'm back, man. I'm back.
Cleared? What? Your check's cleared?
I'm back.
So we got Alabama and Syracuse in the house. Great Sports Wrap, guys. Thank you for joining us here. We'll be back tomorrow with much more. Bye for now, everybody. Thanks for watching.